Hello, Facebook, on this snowy day today. I'm Fallon Saldo at Keller Williams. I am here today with Joe Beaton from Pillar to Post. We are here to discuss home inspection. Very excited about that.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, Joe.
All right, so I'm Joe. I'm a franchisee owner of Pillar Post Home Inspectors in Westfield. I've been in the inspection industry for about 2 years now, and had a lot of success early on. So
don't let the time fool you. He's done many transactions.
Yes, well over 300 now. Have lots of experience, and I've been trained by the best with Pillar to Post. So before that, I was in the United States Air Force, served 5 years, and wanted to become a business owner. So looked at home inspections as a good way to do that, and it filled obviously all the state requirements to do so. So here I am.
Great. And as I've said to my Facebook followers before, family and friends, when you submit an offer and the offer is accepted, that is when you hire a home inspector. So here are some questions that I'd like to ask you, and the viewers have asked me. Yep. Is it okay to perform the inspection yourself?
No. So, to elaborate on that. So, even if you're a licensed contractor, you have obviously lots of knowledge on building science and things like that, but you may not be the greatest in, as far as plumbing or electrical, and things like that. So that's where, hiring a licensed home inspector really comes into play is, and also to mention, really, you want to hire somebody who has a non-biased opinion on the house, right?
This is true.
So when you're buying a house, you're kind of tied into it, emotionally. So you want somebody who has a non-biased opinion, who has no, affiliation with the transaction at all, to really be able to go in and look at things better, to help you get a better, understanding on the education of the house.
Yes, exactly, and the certain standards that are required.
Yes.
And are consistent
Absolutely.
Across the board.
Yep.
What is the cost of a home inspection?
That's a great question. So there's lots of factors that go into the pricing and home inspections, and really, it just depends on the inspector himself. There's no set guideline on prices. Now, most inspectors charge about the same. Your standard house, you're looking at anywhere between 1,000 to 2,500 square feet. Could range in between 350 to 450. Somewhere in between there, really. But to go off pricing, you want to call around. You want to make sure you're doing your research.
And it's normally based on square footage, correct?
Yes.
So it's the size of the home, and if it's multi-unit, it's more because bedrooms, bathrooms,
right?
Of that
exactly.
nature.
Yeah. Typically, you get there's additional charges with duplexes, triplexes, things like that, because you're looking at more things as well, right?
Yes.
So we're looking at. Basically, if you look at it, you're looking at 3 different types of houses all in one. So it's really important to call around and ask, what's included in the price as well.
Yes, and if any questions come up for my viewers, please feel free to shoot them to us because we answer them at the end. What is covered under an inspection?
As far as the standard for home inspections are concerned, you're looking at your structural. So you're looking at basically everything that's tied into a house. So you're looking at the roof, the shingles, the rafters, sheathing, attic ventilation, insulation. You're looking at plumbing. You're looking at electrical, outlets, windows, drywall, flooring, foundation, floor joists. I mean, everything you can think of in a house, that's what you're hiring a home inspector to look at. We're also looking at safety things. We want to make sure the house is safe for you, make sure it's going to function properly. Yes. Those are things that are all really entailed into a home inspection.
Yes, and as I said, after your offer is accepted, you usually have around a 10-day window to get inspected. He just talks about the structural mechanical. There's also lead testing, radon testing, termite testing. Yes. This all goes on. He doesn't do it specifically, but it can be done on the same day or in that same period.
Yep. And radon testing I do. With destroying organisms, I do as well. So
very good.
Those are all added. A lot of home inspectors offer those services, or they can if they choose to, or if they're licensed to. It's important to ask those, and those are typically an add-on feature. So those are typically an additional fee to the base price of the home inspection.
This is true. How long will the actual inspection take?
Again, another thing each inspector has differences in. For me personally, it takes about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, because I'm very thorough. And any good home inspector will take roughly around 2 hours.
Yes.
What you don't want is an inspector to come in and out real quick, because he's going to miss some things. So really, those are questions you want to ask when you're calling around for a home inspector. And those are things that you should be definitely asking.
Yes, you get into the house, you think, well, it could take 2 hours, but actually there is quite a bit to go through.
Yeah.
And as you go step by step, you realize, okay, this is actually very important that we're here for this amount of time.
Right. Yep.
So what type of inspection report do you supply, and how long does it take?
Personally, I provide a computerized report with digital photos. It's all, I do it as I'm going through the inspection, so that way I don't miss anything for you when I do send it out. And with me, you always get it the same day.
Very
so
good.
You'll get it at the end of the day. Typically, depends on how busy I am. If I have a bunch of inspections, you'll get it at night.
Yeah.
But if I have just one inspection that day, you'll get it typically within a few hours after the inspection.
And for all of you watching there, as I said, you have a 10-day window for inspection. So say something comes up in inspection that you want to get a credit for or negotiate with. It's good for you and for me as your realtor to have time to do that. And his report coming back in 24 hours allows for that time, because you go through the inspection, you kind of get an idea of what you may see, what you may not see, what you want to go to the seller for, to discuss either repairing prior to close or having a credit at closing for the damage. Getting a quick report back or a prompt report is key for that negotiation.
Absolutely. Yep.
Is anyone allowed or required to attend the inspection? This is important.
Yes, absolutely. And you should absolutely, as the buyer, be present at the inspection.
Yes.
I would highly recommend it. Now, there's certain circumstances that maybe, you can't, say you're buying a house that's out of state. Obviously, if you can't be there, you can't be there. But I always encourage my clients to be present during the inspection and ask questions as we go. I want them to follow me around. I want them to help me look for things as well. They may have a question on, is this a significant issue with the crack in the drywall? Maybe, maybe not.
Yes.
Those are things that you should definitely be asking as the inspection goes along.
Yes, and your realtor should be present.
Yes.
So if you can't make it, they should always be there.
Absolutely.
And, this is not necessarily a time to have a lot of extra people involved. You may be very excited about the property, but this is a time for you and your realtor to really get to know what it is you're buying on a one-on-one level.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Moving on, is it possible for a home to fail an inspection?
No. So we don't pass or fail houses, right? So it's all about education. As the inspector, I'm there for the house, believe it or not. I'm not necessarily there for the buyer. I'm not there for the seller. I'm there for the house itself. Yes, the buyer is paying the inspector for the inspection, but really we want a non-biased opinion, right? So we don't want somebody to affect the integrity of the report. So yes, we are there for the house actually. So you cannot pass or fail a house. Every house, even new construction, has issues.
Yes.
So there is no pass or fail. The big thing is finding those defects and correcting them. But it does not necessarily mean the house is it's failed inspection. There's no such thing.
And something I'd like to add is I've been saying, after your offer is accepted, but something that I have said to the people that I list their properties with is don't hesitate to have a home inspector come in before you list your property.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, pre-listing inspections I do as well.
Yes.
And those are questions, again, you want to ask the home inspector beforehand.
Yes.
If you're putting your house onto the market. I treat the pre-listing as a normal inspection. Now, not every inspector does that. Some inspectors will, when they do pre-listing, they'll just look at the main aspects of the house and just call it a day. I look at everything as I would the buyer's side. So, it's important to ask those questions again, but really, they're a great tool, because if you're putting a house on the market and you want to avoid some of those issues when the inspection period comes, those are great things to look for as well.
It's very good to know where your house is so that you know what you're going into, and you also can say, wow, I didn't realize I needed to repair the boiler, or
Right.
wow, I didn't realize that my roof was really getting that old. Your inspection will, you can't keep tabs on all things that are your property, as well as your business, as well as your life, as well as your kids. So you can have the inspection report come back to you and say, you know what, before I list my property, I'm going to address X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
And when I have an offer come in, I know that maybe X needs to be taken care of, and that can be part of the negotiating.
Exactly. Yep. And then you could also price your house accordingly as well.
Yes.
And it'll make your house more appealing to buyers.
Yes, because you're being honest about what you're selling.
Yep.
What happens if there are problems found during an inspection, Joe?
So if I'm inspecting a house and I find an issue, first thing is I grab the buyer and the agent and I bring that issue to their attention.
Yes.
To my best abilities, I've educate them on what's the cause of the issue and what are steps to help correct it.
Yes.
Okay. But those are things every inspector should be doing, is stopping the inspection just at that point. Just give them a heads up on and educating. For me,
pause.
Yep. For me, it's all about education. Really, that's the best way to look at home inspections. So, when you find issues, and then those are the times too for the agent and the buyer to look at each other and say, okay, is that something that we may want to have the seller fix?
Yeah, absolutely. By the end of the inspection, you should have a little bit of a punch list with your realtor about where you feel you may be moving forward with inspections, how you feel, again, that you may want a credit or you may want something repaired prior to closing. So, again, I'm Fallon Saldo. I'm down at Keller Williams Realty in Northampton, Massachusetts, and Joe came in to speak to me about home inspections.
Yes.
Joe, if someone wants to get home inspected by you, how can they contact you?
I have several ways to contact me. My website, which is posted up there,
yes.
Which is josephbeaton.pillartopost.com.
Yes.
Or you can give my business line a call. That's 413-378-2815.
Very good.
And then, and for agents as well, not necessarily for buyers, but for agents, I have a mobile app they could download.
Very good.
And
me as well.
They could book me through there if, say, the client wishes to do so.
And is your mobile app just for booking? Is there anything else attached to it?
It's solely for booking, but
Great.
It gives the realtor or the real estate agent full access to my schedule. So they could just pull it up right on their phone, see what my schedule looks like. Okay, well, Joe's open Sunday at 10 a.m. I'm going to go ahead and book it. Just type in the client info and the address, and then you're set.
That's great. The virtual booking is great because flexibility and changes in schedule happen all the time.
Yep.
Great. Well, if you have any questions for Joe, please contact me or contact Joe. Me for Fallon Saldo at Keller Williams Realty. I look forward to our next Facebook Live. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Take care.